Hi everybody and welcome once again to Ruby's Classic Cooking. And today I'm making butterscotch brownies. Now these are really quick, simple, and easy to make. And before I get started, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Now with a batch of brownies, whether they're chocolate brownies or these kind which contain no chocolate at all, you can make them in a number of different ways. You can just put them in your basic 8-inch square pan, which is a 20 centimeter square pan for my metric people out there. Or if you have a fancy brownie pan that has individual wells for each one of your brownies, you can make them in that. Or you can make them in a mini tart pan that makes 48. And I'm going to make 48 2-bite brownies. That's what they're known as around here. But mine are going to be butterscotch brownies, which will be nice and sweet and delicious. So, having told you all that, I'm going to dive right into this recipe. I have in here 1/4 cup of butter, which I'm going to melt, and then I'm going to add a whole cup of brown sugar to that. So, I'll be back in a few seconds. I'm going to melt this in my microwave. This is a microwave safe bowl, and I'm going to be melting it in my microwave. Be right back. Alright, now it's 30 seconds in my microwave and it's all melted. And now I'm going to add my 1 cup of brown sugar. Don't worry, metric people, I'll have all the metric equivalents in the recipe below when I do this up below. So, today I'm just using a spatula and a wooden spoon to create my brownies today. So, now you just put this sugar in here and you just stir it around thoroughly. And then when you've done that, you're supposed to wait until this is lukewarm, because you're going to be adding an egg to it, and you don't want your egg to cook, because scrambled eggs is not what you want in your brownies. Maybe what you want for breakfast, but not when you're baking. So you have to let this cool to lukewarm, which you know what that means? That means it's the same temperature as the inside of your wrist. But I found when I make this that usually by the time I've stirred an entire cup of brown sugar into this, which is 250 grams, it's pretty cooled off as it is. Pretty much cools off your butter to lukewarm. Now just kind of poke your finger down there. Oh yeah, that's lukewarm now. So you really don't have to wait for anything. Now I'm just going to take my 1 egg, grade A large. White, because whether you have brown eggs or white eggs, you know what? They're the same inside. I know they like to charge you more for brown eggs at the grocery store and try and convince you that they're better than white eggs, but you know what? They're the same. It's called marketing. And if they can make you pay more for the same product, hey, that's money in the bank for them, right? And I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla to this. And I'm lucky enough to have 1.5 teaspoons measuring cup, but if you don't, you just have to use a 1 teaspoon and 1/2 teaspoon. So I'll just put this in here. I'm just going to stir these two together. Blend it together here. There you go, kind of a nice batter here going on. This is an 8-cup or 2-liter bowl I'm using here, measuring pitcher, which works really well to mix this batter up in. And while I'm talking about this, I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not sure how much that is in Celsius, but don't worry, it'll be in the recipe box below. Okay, now that's on to preheat. And that's all my liquid ingredients. You notice I didn't add any milk to this or anything like that. It's 1 egg, some vanilla, that's it, and 1/4 cup of melted butter, or you can use margarine if that's what you use. And now I'm going to add my dry ingredients. It says to blend or sift together, but really I'm putting them all in the one bowl, so in one blob, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll add it to the top just so I feel better about it. I'm going to be adding to this 1 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda, but baking powder. Okay? It's important. It's important that you add baking powder, not baking soda. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. There we go. And that is pretty much everything that goes into this mixture of brownies. Pretty easy, eh? You can also add 1/4 cup of nuts. It doesn't specify what kind of nuts, so you can use chopped walnuts or pecans or whatever kind of nuts are your favorite. Now, personally, I don't care for nuts in my brownies at all, so I won't be adding any. So they're an option as far as I'm concerned. There we go. This is 3/4 cup of flour, by the way. I have a 3/4 cup measuring cup. If you don't have a 3/4 cup measuring cup with your set, then 3 1/4 cups is the same amount. Got to keep your math skills sharp when you're baking. We'll stir this up, and then my batter will be ready to use. How about that? Just like that, I'll have a batch of brownies mixed up. Butterscotch brownies. Now, if I want to substitute something for these nuts, maybe I might want to add some chocolate chips to them and make it chocolate butterscotch brownies. Or maybe I might want to add 1/4 cup of butterscotch chips to it, which would make it more butterscotchy. And at this point, if I was using an 8-inch square pan, I would just put this right into my greased 8-inch square pan. But I'm going to make 2-bite brownies, so that means I have to do a bit more work here. Let's make sure I've scraped everything down into the bowl and mixed it in. Alright, now I'm just going to take a few minutes and grease the wells of my pan here, which I won't make you watch. You know how to grease a pan, right? Alright, I've greased all my wells, and now I'm going to use my cookie scoop, which holds 1 tablespoon. If you have one of these, this is a great help when you're making these kind of mini brownies. Or if you don't, well, you can always use a teaspoon and your finger. These are a little neater. Also, like these are great for, you can make tarts with these pans, or little mini muffins if you like. So they're very useful if you don't have one. I'd have a look at your local thrift store if I was looking for one. I don't use mine very often, but it's very handy to have when I do. I'm going to start out with a tablespoon of batter in each one, and if I have more, I'll be adding a bit more to each one of these. So we'll see how this goes. And here's my 2-bite brownies ready to go in the oven. Now, I'm going to put these in for about 10 minutes. If I was doing this in an 8-inch square pan, the recipe says to bake them for 20 minutes. So I'm going to try 10 for these smaller ones, and it might have to be 12 to 15. I'll be back to show you when they come fresh and hot out of the oven. And here they are, fresh and hot from the oven after 13 minutes in the oven. Now I'm just going to let these cool off to room temperature in their pan. And one other thing, a couple of other things about them. If you do them in an 8-inch square pan, 20 centimeter square pan, it says it's better to keep them in the pan that you bake them in, but cover them tightly. So also, if you wish, you can ice them with a batch of buttercream icing, which is, there's so many recipes around for that. I won't even share that one with you because I'm sure you can find a buttercream recipe, or even the the boxes they sell at the store. But I'm not going to ice these. They're perfectly good without any icing on them. And you know what? I find them sweet enough as they are with all that brown sugar in them. Personally, I want to add actually another layer of sweetness with the icing. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching my recipe today, and that you will like and subscribe, make some comments below, try this recipe at home, and come back next time and join me and watch what I'm baking on Ruby's Classic Cooking. Bye for now.